where there's one, there's more. They all huddle up together, they follow one another around in the lake. So it's well worth getting your rod straight back out, because you could have another bite within minutes. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to show you this fish that I've caught. Well, this is number 9, the ninth fish of the session so far. A little mirror, 19.5 pound this one, but nonetheless it's a stunner, as you can see. I don't know if you can see actually on the fish, but there's a couple of leeches just on his gill cover there, and this is due to the reason, because the water's so cold at the moment still, the fish, they're not really responding to food, and they're just waking up. Hence the reason why the best tactic to catch these fish has been the single hook baits and the zig rigs that we've used. You can also tell the fish is not at its full weight yet, but when the water warms up, these fish, they'll definitely get on the munch. They've had a long hard winter, and they'll pack some weight back on very quickly, and this will be a 20-pound fish in a matter of weeks. And it's a stunner, as you can see. Well, you saw that last fish, and it's only 45 minutes later on now. We've received another take, this time on the middle rod. Same thing though, little zig rig out in the middle of the pond. This one's a little bit higher than the other rod, so obviously there's a few fish cruising around out there, and we've managed to intercept another one, which is good. It's so cold though. Again, when I'm playing my fish on the zigs, I like to keep the rod nice and low. You see a lot of people with the rod up high, but I've always played the fish with the rod down low, and they seem to come in a straight line. I mean, you do what's good, good for your own fishing, but this works for me. And then when you get them close to the net, you can lift the rod up. But by keeping the rod low, it tends to bring them in a dead straight line. They don't kite around, and also it keeps them up. It's something that I got from my match fishing, and by keeping the fish up in the water, it's away from any debris out in the lake, any weed beds, any obstacles that could cut your line or cause you to lose the fish. It's a good one. It's a nice fish, this one. Just seen it, it's a common carp, and looks like it's a good sized one. Again, I can see that I've dropped the lead straight away on the take, which has made me get the fish in really quickly. It's putting up a good scrap as well. That's a nice fish. Happy days. That's a nice fish. Here she is, £25, 6 ounces of Sandust common carp. What a stunner. Put up a real good scrap as well. Used every bit of her weight to bully me around a bit. What a beautiful fish. What we'll do is we'll put this one back and I'll show you exactly how I've been catching these carp over the last couple of days. So you know, so you can get out and get there, bag yourself a beauty like this one. When I started my session, I turned up and I didn't really know what was going to happen. So I'm just going to run through with you how I started the session and how I've actually ended up fishing now. I turned up, I thought they're not really in the mood for the food with the way the water's so cold. So I thought I'd just start on something small and bright. I've got a little pop-up rig here, little white hook bait. The reason for this is I just want to catch the fish's attention. They're not really feeding that much. So something real bright, blatant, rather than piling in food to them, they're not up for it. So this is the ideal thing for it. I've got a size 4 SSBP. It's a good hook. You don't want to be messing about. If you get a bite, you want to put that fish on the bank. So none of this airy-fairy stuff. Size 4 hook, bank your fish. Got a 25-pound weedy green matte Cortex hook length. Again, it's a strong hook length. It's not going to break no matter how much pressure I put on it. It's reliable and the one for me. Around the lead, this is a Transkhaki slick leg clip. Now, these slick leg clips are designed for easy ejection of the lead. As you can see, if I take the tail rubber off there, there's no ridges at all on that. So when you hook a fish, whether it's with the tail rubber on or the tail rubber off, if that lead touches anything, it's off. There's no messing about. And especially in a venue like this, as I said earlier, with the big fish stock, you need to be putting every fish on the bank. You don't know when you hook the fish exactly what's on the end. It could be 20 pound, it could be 45 pound. So it's important that you bank every fish. So these leg clips are really designed for this. These leads can come off. I mean, one tip is, I wouldn't mess about with light leads. I use 3 3/4 up to 5 ounce leads for all of my fishing. This helps with setting the hook. It's a big hook. You want to, you know, drive it home. And with the decent sized lead, this happens every time. There's no messing about. And also it helps with the ejection. Again, a heavy lead, you've got the bolt effect and the lead's off. The lead's out of play and it's just you and the fish, no other obstacles. Obviously, just to offer a bit of protection for the fish and also just a bit line concealment if you're, you know, a fan of that. This is the dark camo leg core. You know, it's got very low visibility, and especially lakes like this, there's a lot of debris on the bottom. This is going to help, and also it's 45 pound as well, so it's a good breaking strain. It's going to be very abrasion resistant. If your fish is coming into contact with any snags in the lake, this is going to offer you the best possible chance of not being cut off at all, and it just aids with all of the whole rig situation really. So that's the rig that I started on anyway, and I managed to catch a couple on that before I switched over. And I switched over to a zig rig. I caught 2 fish, but I just felt like it wasn't right, and I decided to put one rod out on a zig rig. I just felt like the fish were cruising round, as often in the winter they do. They're just milling about, not really feeding. So I popped out a little zig rig, and well, it was a matter of minutes and I've had a take straight away. So it was clearly, you know, clearly a right move. And that's how I caught the last 8 fish. When I chucked my first rod out, I thought I'd just fish it in mid-water. So I started off on a yellow zigger liner. The reason for this is I like to fish a brighter zig hook bait lower down, just to do like visibility. I think in the lower depths there's less visibility, so a brighter hook bait will stand out more to the fish. I later went on then to put 2 more rods out on the zigs, but they were on black black zigger liners, they were higher up. The water's pretty clear here, so by fishing the black zigger liners higher up in the lake, they actually stand out more, believe it or not, and the yellow one I carried on fishing lower down. And I got a take straight away on this. After I chucked it out, it was on the rest for a matter of minutes and it was away. So that was clearly a good move. Again, I'm not messing about. I'm using a size 6 hook on my zigs. This is an SSBP again. A lot of people use 8s and 10s, and I personally think they're too weak. You know, you want to hook these fish and get them in. You don't want to lose them and come back with a hook looking like a pin. So size 6 hook on your zig. The hook link I'm using, this is 15-pound zig and floater line. You wouldn't really want to fish a heavier hook link than this on your zigs, and you always have to make sure it's monofilament as well. So 15-pound is pretty much a limit, but this stuff is strong, so that's not going to let you down. You know, you go using like 8s and 10-pound lines and you're asking for trouble really. So 15-pound line, make it nice and strong. Again, the slick lead clip, for obvious reasons, you want to get rid of the lead. These will come off on the take. With the zig rigs, the main problem is when you're playing the fish in, and due to the length of the hook length, especially if you're fishing deeper venues, the lead causes the problem. You can imagine that coming through the water, it's asking for trouble, bumping into like your other lines that are already still fishing. So the lead comes off, you're not going to catch your other lines, you're not going to have the lead swinging around when you're trying to land the fish. I've got a bite at the moment. And we're in. It's always the way. Well, before we were rudely interrupted by this carp that's taken my black and yellow zigger liner, we were just discussing about dumping the lead. The lead's come off on the take, and I was just moving on to the shock leader. The shock leader I use is a 30-pound Armadillo dark camo shock leader. There's a couple of reasons for this basically. Firstly, it enables your casting. You're never going to crack off of it. It's a strong old leader material. So it helps you if you're casting a long way. You know, you're not gonna break your main line and crack your rig off, leaving the rig in the lake on its own. But really the main advantage is its abrasive resistance to obstacles in the lake. I fished here a couple of weeks ago, and I actually got cut off by a snag under the water, and this was due to the fact that I didn't have one of these leaders on. And if I'd have had one of these leaders on, I would have landed every fish that I hooked. So I've come back this time and I'm geared up for it, and every fish is being put on the bank with no losses at all, which is what you want to be doing. And the leader itself, it can rub against things, and it's not gonna let you down. The version that I'm using at the moment is £30, and they actually do a £45 as well. And like the £45, I mean, that's for extreme snag fishing, and maybe fishing abroad as well on the continent in Europe. It's a nice fish. And yeah, where was I? That's a good fish. I just grab a net. So yeah, I can hear the shock leaders just come onto the rod, and you only need around 20 feet in length of shock leader. You don't need a lot of it. Once you've got a decent drop between your tip and where your lead would go, you'd only right, now he's in the net, we can talk. As I was saying, with your shock leader, you only need around 20 feet in length. You only want enough just to get a few turns on the reel, and then when you've got the rod behind you ready for casting, you've got a decent drop between your tip and your lead. And this will give you plenty of line. Then if the fish does take you into a snag, there's going to be more than enough leader there to protect your line from getting broken off. Now, let's have a look at this baby. Well, there it is. She's all been weighed up, 28 pound free. You saw there how quickly I got that fish in. There's no dramas at all. You get the bite and it's a fish on the bank. The best way and the best advice I could give to you is fish strong, fish safe, bank every fish you work. Don't mess around. Lovely. Morning. Last night you saw us have that 28 pound mirror just before it got dark. Since then we've had no further action. Just after we caught the fish, the skies tended to clear up a little bit, and last night it went mega cold. I'm glad I was tucked up in my bed with my hot water bottle and I didn't have to get out for a bite, to be honest. Just want to show you how cold it was. That's solid. Yeah, so I was glad I was all tucked up nice and warm. But hopefully, with the way the weather is now, it's quite good for zigs really. Clear skies, nice little bit of sunshine breaking through this morning. So hopefully we'll have a couple more chances to slip a few fish on the map before we shoot off later. So we'll give it a go. Earlier on we talked about the shock leaders that I use and for what reasons I use them for. If you think that they're complicated to put on your rod and that, they're not. They're quite simple really. It's just a grinner knot one way and a grinner knot the other way. I'll show you exactly how I do mine and go through it with you. Just take your shock leader and obviously you've got your main line here. All you need to do is lie the two up against each other, one going one way, one going the other. Take your shock leader first, make a nice loop in the shock leader next to the main line, and then simply go through the loop and around the main line 4 times. Gently pull that tight. You don't need to pull it really tight at this present moment, just nick it together. Then take your main line, make another loop, the other side of the knot, and then repeat the process. 4 times through there. Pull the knot nice and tight, and then you'll see the 2 knots together Then all you need to do is pull them so they meet there, and then tighten them up with either end of each knot, just for a bit of added tension. And you can see that those knots aren't going to slip, and they only pull against each other, make it stronger anyway. Nick off your tag ends, and then just wind up through the rod, down to the reel, 3 or 4 turns on the reel, and then cut the leader off next to the spool when you've chosen how much drop you want from your tip to your lead, and that's it, done. Tie your rig on and fire it out in the pond and catch a big one. Fishing this particular way with single hook baits, whether it be like on the bottom or up in the water with zig rigs, you're not fishing over any bait. So by moving your rods around, you're not actually losing anything. And this tactic is actually specifically for just searching the fish out themselves. And I've sat there for a couple of hours since the last fish that you saw us catch, and no bites. So I've just started to recast my rods. I've done the left-hand rod, just moved that slightly more to the left. The middle rod, I just let a couple of more rod lengths of line off, clipped it up and chucked it a bit further, closer to the, I know there's a big weed bed just beyond where I'm fishing. And I've put that rod on the rest, just started to wind my third rod in to cast it out into a different spot, and the middle rod's ripped off straight away. So, so with this particular tactic, when you're not actually feeding any bait at all, it's well worth moving your rods around and actually using the rods to search the swim out rather than using your bait as a feature. And as we're not using any bait, it's done the damage and got us another bite just by changing a couple of rod lengths.